Hello everyone, we are back. We are actually doing an oracle reading today. So I'm going to flip over here. These are the cards we'll be doing today. We'll be using the Rose Oracle. I'll be doing the kind of shuffling to see where this may end up. And then what type of cards we may pull for this. So I'm going to pause here and we'll be right back. So we're back and we have two piles here. We have one with my D20 dice and then one with the regular dice. So if you guys would choose which pile that you feel called to. As I'm doing this reading, I asked whoever it needs to go to, especially when this reading is gone out, who needs to hear this reading at the time. And when it does come across their page, why do they need to hear this? And so what I'm going to do is go through each pile. We'll go through this pile 1, this is pile 2. I'll go through pile 1 first, and then we'll go through pile 2 second. And then we'll kind of go through what the cards say and what you get for your reading. So I'm going to move pile 2 out of the way. I'm actually going to kind of move my arm in and kind of scoot it like there, so you can kind of see it over there. But pile 1 is, we have these cards that have come out. Now I'm going to hold each of these up to the camera so you guys can see them. This is the Breathing Rose. Let me turn off this so you guys can see this. So this is the Breathing Rose, which is heart healing, emotions, connection, and time eases. You have Trust the Seasons, which is all about embracing change, cycles of life, the transitions and growth, and growing in the changes. And then last is the Return, which this card I think is really pretty. This one is talking about a new story that you've made the choice and that things are aligning for you to come back to it. Things coming together for this next part. And what I'm getting through this reading is that this is someone on a new phase of life. And to be honest, it sounds very similar to what I've been going through. But I feel like with this collective, this first part, is that you guys have probably been going through some of your own emotions recently. And not like being emotional per se, but it's being the idea of coming to terms with certain emotions that you come across. Maybe it's the idea that you're reconnecting back to your heart and learning like what you love to do in life or what you wish you could be doing. Perhaps it is all about trying to find more connections into your life and finding ones that are actually for you and not against you, or ones that just don't really seem to connect with you. And the idea, like even this card is called the Breathing Rose, and the idea in my mind is the idea that you want to breathe in the love that you're surrounded with yourself. And that love doesn't necessarily mean that it doesn't necessarily mean romantically. Like romantically you're in love. This actually could be friendship love, or familial love, family love, or just finding love in the projects you do. Being able to do that, and you're connecting into yourself, you're healing yourself by doing these things that you would want to do. And because of this is kind of issuing this change period for you, which is like this second card here. The idea that you're embracing change, that there's this sudden change in your life that's trying to put you towards the better, which is trying to put you into like where it says here, the growth. The idea of you growing into who you're supposed to be in life and why you should be going in that direction in the first place. And I feel like it connects more to your heart, because what you're doing within like your heart and healing into here, you are actually issuing in the growth that you see here. So like this is catapulting into here, creating this change and this idea to grow you into, like, blooming into yourself. Which is funny because, you know, it's springtime. Spring would have happened last Friday. It was like the spring equinox. So the idea of, like, being like a rose and, like, blossoming into your new self. Which is funny with the return card because it is kind of showing that, like, this rose here blossoming up. Because there is a new story for you. This type of change that you're doing, like, over here, there's a new chapter ready for you. It's ready because you're willing to go through the change, and it's going to be something that aligns to who you are. Whether it's like a new job, a new person comes into your life, a new friendship circle, maybe even a new group to join, that's something that can come out of that. And honestly, that's a really awesome that it's saying, you know, it's all coming together. It's all coming together behind the scenes. And you putting in the growth, putting in the changes you need to, is issuing this new chapter. But the idea, the very, like, key thing that comes into my mind right now is the one part in this card which says you decide, right? Like, right down here it says you decide. And it's putting out the idea that you have the choice whether you're going to change or not. This over here is entirely your choice. The idea of trusting in the transitions and being able to connect to your heart and maybe doing things that make you feel at ease, or dressing, or even it's something as simple as dressing more to make you feel good about yourself. I've been doing that recently, where I've been dressing more that feels for me, or putting makeup on, or wearing things like, you know, this glasses chain, for example, is something that feels good for me and is connecting into that love for myself. The idea that even stuff like that, you're making the choice, the conscious choice to do this, to connect to your heart, to make the changes, to have change occur. Therefore, your new story is also a choice. It's like, universe said, I'm looking over here, but, like, I'll use one of my books as an example. Universe says, okay, you have a choice. Here's your choice. Are you willing to open the page? You know, they open the book to you, and it's like, all right, are you going to open the book and start your next chapter? Or are you going to just change without transitioning? And that's the key part, is like, you can change a lot from behind the scenes, but if you're not willing to transition into the new phase of life, you yourself can't align, because you're still over here in the change. So that's probably the big overarching message, is that while you're doing this, remember that there is a transitional period, and you are given the choice to go through that transitional period, to open that book up and start the next chapter or the next phase. It would almost be like the next chapter would be like maybe the next part of, like, healing or something. But if you're, like, moving on to a big thing, like a new job or a new location, then it's almost like you're the next series, because you yourself is like a bunch of series put together. So you're like, the next series of such and such is going to this location. Maybe they're going to France for a year. You know, this is your next series. So stuff like that. That is the first deck. So now we're going to transition over to the second, which, like I said, first deck was with the D20 dice. Our first deck, which that's the wrong dice, is just the simple dice. And we have 3 cards here too. This one I think is interesting because I looked at some of these cards prior to make sure that I was looking at these right. So I'm going to set this like this. And specifically I'm mentioning this because the first card I noticed when pulling these out is the crowning. Now the crowning is the initiation, the thresholds. There's a rebirth, a seat at the table. A seat in this hierarchical, much more to life here. So your other cards is the grandmothers. This is remembering your roots, the perspective, trusting the weavings in your life. And then the last one is just held. The sureness of your soul, the unseen help, the community, the support, being held. So, this reading is definitely different than the previous one. But the idea is that this collective that chose number 2 is going through an initiation. There is a bigger change beyond the surface that maybe you're not noticing exactly right now. And perhaps this is maybe something you've been building towards, but you haven't realized it's about to climax up to the top. Or maybe it's something you don't even realize. Something that you've gone around your day-to-day, moving around, and you just haven't realized that there's the tip is coming. Tip of the iceberg. And you're getting ready to rebirth, to become anew into this new transition. And the idea that comes up as an initiation is that it's probably going to be something you don't expect. And it's going to be something that you aren't familiar with. This isn't going to be something that you're, you got a little bit of a 20-cent raise and you're, woohoo, you got a 20-cent raise, woohoo. And it's not going to be something you and your significant other were on a date and now you're going to be officially together. This is something much bigger, a much bigger event occurring. And what comes through with this initiation is down here. Now, when I look at the grandmother's card, they show multiple different grandmothers. You've got about 5 different grandmothers on this card. And when you think of a grandmother into your side, especially when it's talking about embracing your roots, there is an ancestry here, an ancestral call. And the idea that the ancestors are behind you, that whether you reach out to them or not, they're going to be there backing behind you in whatever this initiation is. This is the roots that you have been given through your ancestral line have been preparing you for the initiation. They've been weaving together. I think of life like a spider web, that you have the center of you, but everything else is coming into the web and coming together into you. And your ancestral roots is another one of those webs that comes directly into your life, because it is one of those weavings that helps you into this next phase, this next initiation, this next rebirth into where you're going. And it's interesting that you have the grandmothers here, because this could be simply the ancestors. The ancestral grandmother is a very nurturing self, when you think of grandma or grandmother, you're probably thinking a little granny that comes and helps you, maybe gives you a piece of candy, stuff like that. And the idea that there is a warmth here, there's a sureness that you are going on to the next thing, which is funny. As I come into the held card here, it talks about the sureness of your soul. Or actually I read that wrong. It says sureness of the soil, but let me go back to my sureness of the soul. The idea that your soul has been meant for this process for a longer period of time than you know, and that it's assured that you're going into this process up here, the initiation. But the idea is that you have unseen help, which definitely could tie back to this ancestors, the grandmothers watching out for you. The idea that you have support beyond than you can imagine. This also could mean that maybe a grandmother has passed, and a grandmother you were close to is still by your side and is still wanting to help you in this process. I feel like that's only for a certain amount of people, but I'll put that out. The unseen help also can go excuse me, beyond just ancestors. Our the witchy selves who are watching, if you do any deity work, or perhaps angel work, demonology, there's the unseen help behind you in that particular aspect. But the unseen help, if we look at it from a more physical standpoint, the idea is that you can go on with your life, but you always have friends to back you up, or you always have family members that will always be by your side. Like, you ever need help, you know you can call on this one person who will always help you. They're kind of that unseen help that necessarily isn't something that, like, if someone were to look at you straight look at you and be like, oh, da-da-da, like, you know, you look like you're very strong in what you do, and you're like, well, I actually have support from my best friend from college, or something like that. Like, they're kind of that unseen help, that unseen support that is getting you to this initiation. And in a way, you're kind of building that community behind you that will support you in the initiation, the ones that will support you in the rebirth, and won't try to hold you back, or won't try to disregard what you want to do, or make you feel bad in that way either. They're going to be the ones who will help you in the initiation process of whatever this big chapter may be for you. So, I feel like that both of those readings came out very interesting, very completely different, but very interesting in the way that you have kind of an initiation, a call, and then some will see the aspect of change. And maybe that's what it is the first collective is what I would put it as, the one who is for change. The second is for initiation. And it all ends up that these are not necessarily like telling you what you should do. These are definitely like, these are words of advice that come through you, what you need to know at this very moment. Whenever this video comes across your page, and whenever you watch this video, perhaps you only watch part of it and you decide to watch the rest of it later. Whenever the meaning of the message comes to you is when this video is meant to come to you. And it is when that message is to come across as well. So I hope you guys enjoyed this message and this kind of discussion with the cards. I do want to shout out my Patreon, Handmade Hypothesis, as there will be a few like exclusive tarot and oracle readings on there. Some that are more specific. They will also be in like a video format, just so those can listen along or watch it. And then, yeah. And so that is the end of this video. I hope you guys have enjoyed the message. Feel free to like and comment down below if any of this has resonated with you, if this feels like it helps you in any way. And I will see you guys in the next video. And feel free, you know, to subscribe if you are interested in gaming content, bookish, tarot things. This YouTube channel is kind of a mix of everything, so feel free to join along for the ride. Alright, bye!